TomoNews presents Spider-Man in Real Life.
French Spider-Man scales Dubai skyscraper with just chalk tape. A French free climber has completed his latest daredevil stunt by scaling one of Dubai's tallest skyscrapers, the Emirates Cayan Tower, in the heart of the city-state's luxurious marina district. Alain Robert, dubbed the real-life Spider-Man, has made a career for himself, setting astonishing world records. What you're seeing here is the 85th building this Frenchie's scaled in 14 years. Undaunted by the skyscraper's DNA double helix-like twisting shape, the 52-year-old was determined to climb the roughly 1,007-foot-tall building. Spider-Man, eat your heart out. It only took Robert 70 minutes to make it to the top of the 80-story structure. And he's likely not done yet. Unimpeded in the past by several falls which have left him with some serious fractures or even fines and arrests, Robert will probably just keep on climbing. In 2011, he conquered the nearby Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, using only a rope and harness. It took Robert just over 6 hours to scale the 2,717-foot-tall Emirati structure. Despite claiming to suffer from vertigo, Robert says his obsession with climbing has left him partially disabled. Robert says he believes that by pushing limits and constantly aiming higher is how we can all develop stronger mindsets. Some of the most noteworthy buildings he's also climbed include Taipei 101, the Eiffel Tower, and the Empire State Building.
Alleged Walmart shoplifter crawls through ceiling to freedom. Now this is one shoplifter who really didn't want to get caught. The saga began last Friday when a guy was stopped by theft prevention officers at a Walmart in Mobile, Alabama. As you can see, he was not eager to cooperate with them. Walmart staff finally dragged the dude into the store's security office and waited for cops to arrive. The alleged shoplifter tried to fight his way out of the office, kicking and yanking at the door, but staff held the door firmly shut. Then after some brief silence, people heard loud bangs. Shoppers pulled out their cell phones after it became apparent that the guy had crawled up into the ceiling in a bid to escape. The guy climbed around inside the ceiling as Walmart staff tried to figure out where he was. Then suddenly, boom! The guy kicked a hole through the ceiling and jumped down, conveniently for him, just feet away from the store's exit. The man then ran out of the store and made his getaway. He has not yet been caught. Following his dramatic escape, employees nicknamed him Spider-Man, but the comic superhero would likely be displeased to be compared to a guy who's accused of shoplifting a hat, a watch, and some underwear.
Spider-Man punches Times Square cop. The Amazing Spider-Man wasn't quite so amazing when he punched a Times Square cop in the face over the weekend, in the latest in a string of superheroes behaving badly in Manhattan. The characters in Times Square are allowed to collect donations, but they're prohibited from demanding money. Spidey was posing for a picture with a couple at 42nd and Broadway when the couple offered him $1 in exchange. The webhead refused and told the couple he would only accept large sums, 5s, 10s, and 20s only. That's when Officer Eduardo Molina stepped forward and told the woman she could give whatever amount of money she wanted. This is none of your business, Webhead told Officer Molina while tearing off his mask. Spidey's spider sense must have been tingling, because when Molina went in to arrest him, he punched him in the face several times. Mickey and Minnie looked on in horror, while smiling, and Elmo had his red mitt up to his cheek as the cops finally arrested the wall crawler. Spider-Man is actually 25-year-old Junior Bishop from Brooklyn. He was due to be arraigned Sunday at Manhattan Criminal Court on charges of felony assault.
Ex-boyfriend climbs into window, holds ex-girlfriend hostage. A disgruntled 38-year-old man, identified by his last name Lin, Spider-Man style climbed his way into his ex-girlfriend's apartment and tied her up. He kept her hostage for over 96 hours. Threatening her with a knife, Lin raped his ex-girlfriend repeatedly, claiming he was just getting his fair share of breakup sex. He later told police he'd also brought along a shiny purple thong for her as a breakup present. After the 4-day nightmare, Lin finally decided to leave her food, cigarettes, and alcohol. The ex-girlfriend took the opportunity to burn through her bindings with a lighter, escaped from her own apartment, and called the police. A judge has finally sentenced Lin to 8.5 years in prison for rape and kidnapping.
Deadly redback spider bites man down under. An Australian guy was somehow able to get himself to the hospital after getting bit on his Johnson by a venomous redback spider. Nature called on Wednesday morning as the 21-year-old construction worker in Sydney made his way to a porta potty. Unfortunately, while he was on the crapper, a redback spider decided to bite him right on his dick. The redback spider, closely related to the black widow spider, has a long red stripe on its abdomen. Its bite can cause severe pain, sweating, and nausea. But by the time paramedics arrived on scene, the man had already made it to the hospital on his own for treatment. He was later discharged from the hospital in stable condition. The redback spider could not be reached for comment.
Skywalking is an internet extreme sport that involves taking a selfie while perched on or dangling from a vertical inducing height. As you may have guessed, it could go horribly wrong. Like when a young man tried to do it at around 4 a.m. last week on scaffolding on a viaduct in Shepton Mallet in Somerset, England. He was with a friend as he tried to take a selfie from a height of 25 feet when he fell. Of course, he wasn't using safety equipment. The friend ran off but then returned to tell police. Authorities said the man reported pain pretty much everywhere, but mainly in his neck and back. The scaffolding company said the viaduct, which is under maintenance, is closed to cars but open to pedestrians. It declined to comment on the incident.
Man jumps off building, accidentally kills neighbor too. One of the first stories of people jumping off buildings to commit suicide but then landing on pedestrians happened 28 years ago in Taipei. Unfortunately, a similar accident took place on August 7th. An off-duty security guard witnessed the horrific accident firsthand. When a 21-year-old male jumper landed directly on top of a 61-year-old woman. The guard happened to be talking to the woman in the courtyard when the man jumped from the 10th floor and crushed the woman to death. The guard immediately called police. When paramedics arrived, both the jumper and the older woman had passed away. Authorities estimate the man fell at around 90 kilometers an hour and landed on the woman with almost 2 tons of force. The woman sustained a serious neck and leg fracture. According to reports, the 20-year-old man had been suffering from years of severe depression.
Peeping Tom, married man climbs into neighbor's house to peek at Sleeping Beauty. A 31-year-old married engineer from Keelung City in Taiwan had long fantasized about his single 40-year-old buxom teacher neighbor. One night, as his wife slept, he climbed out of his 5th-floor balcony and over to next door before sneaking inside the sleeping teacher's bedroom. After watching her for a while, the engineer couldn't help himself and lifted up the blankets to peek at her legs. The teacher woke up. The peeping Tom apologized straight away and climbed back to his own apartment, but the outraged teacher called the police. The engineer and his wife later visited the teacher to apologize in person, but the teacher insisted on suing her perverted neighbor. According to police, as the engineer didn't use any recording equipment, he cannot be charged with offenses against privacy, but entering his neighbor's home is considered intrusion and could earn him up to a year in prison. The police suggested women who live alone add iron bars to their windows and make sure to lock them properly before going to sleep. Armed man jumps White House fences and makes it past the front door. A 42-year-old man was arrested on Friday evening in Washington, D.C. after jumping the White House fences and making it past the front door. The man, carrying a folding knife, climbed over the fences along Pennsylvania Avenue. He then ran to the north portico entrance, a distance of about 70 yards, turned the door's brass knob, and stepped in the White House vestibule. There, an officer standing post stopped and subdued him. A second man was arrested on Saturday for trespassing at the White House. He approached the gates on foot but returned with his vehicle after being sent away by security.
Seattle man climbs 80-foot tree, refuses to come down for over 24 hours. The man, who has since the incident only been identified by trending hashtag #ManInTree, was described as agitated when he climbed to the top of an 80-foot tall tree near the Macy's in downtown Seattle the morning of March 22nd. Seattle police wrote in a since-deleted tweet, quote, "Issue appears to be between the man and the tree," end quote. Police tried to talk the man down from the tree, but were highly unsuccessful. Officials made use of a Seattle fire truck's ladder, making face-to-face contact with the man, but he remained in the tree. The man's antics drew a crowd of supporters. some carrying signs that read, "Let 'em stay," and "Trees are not owned, leave 'em alone." Around 9 p.m. that night, the man scrambled toward the bottom of the tree, but then climbed back up to the top. The ordeal lasted until the following afternoon when the man climbed down and was taken to the emergency room for evaluation. As for the tree, the approximately 80-foot sequoia suffered damages during the incident, but we think it was happy.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves.
Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes some random guy. Yep, witnesses reported seeing a man attempt to climb down some netting on the Brooklyn Bridge at 9 a.m. on Thursday. When the man realized the netting would not be long enough, he climbed back up and found a coiled hose nearby, which he then used to rappel onto the rooftop below. Nobody got a good look at the mystery daredevil because he's probably Spider-Man. Police are still investigating.
Spider-Man busted as he climbs to try and win his girlfriend back. Love is powerful, but you never use it as an excuse for this. A resident in this new Taipei City apartment block heard weird noises during the night of the 10th and opened her window to see what was happening. She was shocked to notice the amateur Spider-Man climbing on her window grill. She presumed the man was a thief trying to break into her house and called the police. According to the police investigation, the 18-year-old Spider-Man, surnamed Lee, was trying to win his girlfriend back after they broke up. He said his ex-girlfriend kept ignoring his phone calls and refused to see him after they broke up. The man was desperate to get his girlfriend back, so he came up with the idea of climbing up to her apartment in order to confront her. When busted by a second-floor neighbor, he lied and said he had dropped his key. After he reached the 4th floor, the resident concluded he was a thief and called the police. The possessed Spider-Man got stuck on the 4th floor wall, but was eventually pulled in onto his girlfriend's balcony on the 5th floor by police. He, however, failed in his mission to win the girl back. He was arrested at the scene for breaking and entering. The police discovered his motivation after taking him back to the police station for questioning. After making sure he wasn't attempting to commit a crime, they released him without charge. Distraught man in underwear climbed an 8-feet-tall pole in Hong Kong. A 38-year-old man climbed on an 8-feet-tall pole and caused the closure of 5 lanes on Nathan Road in Kowloon, Hong Kong on Tuesday morning. Police and firefighters spent 45 minutes to talk him down from the pole.
My passport is no more. No more passport. My get a new one. Get a new one. Yes. Okay. My daughter. My daughter. You know. Okay. My daughter. No. Yeah. Okay. I can see her.
It seems that this man was in a quarrel with his wife that prompted her to leave their home with their daughter. The man has since been taken to a hospital.
Police in Los Angeles are hoping to trap Spider-Man in their web after a costumed impersonator made a daring daylight bag snatch in Hollywood. The theft happened on Friday morning on Hollywood Boulevard, where costumed performers pose for photos with tourists. A Starline Tours employee was leaving the office with a paper bag containing $6,000 and customer credit card details when a sticky-fingered thief sprung, grabbing the bag and running off. Police questioned performers and rounded up several suspects, but have made no arrests so far.
Old man climbs pole to court a young lady. Mr. Wang has a crush on a young lady, who is the granddaughter of a grocery store owner. The 52-year-old man brought extra food and drinks for the lady, only to be rejected by her grandfather. Insisting on seeing his beloved, he even climbed the pole to reach her room at night several times. The lady is quite scared by his behavior. The grandfather not only installed iron windows and infrared alarm system, but requested a frequent patrol of the neighborhood.